So I now invite our guest Hymakar Valluru sir to speak for today's show. Thank you, sir. Over to you.
Hi, good evening, and thanks to Mukul and Ishani and Exploring Nature for giving me this opportunity. So to share my experiences and what I have seen, what I have learned, how we can contribute to nature conservation through photography and our travels, directly and indirectly. So today's session is about sharing my experiences of the photography worldwide. So I've traveled quite a bit, barring Antarctica. I think I traveled to all the continents and clicked a lot of endangered species and also the endemic species to various regions. So I will take you through my presentation and let's go through that and see. Okay, Ishani, I need to have the control so that I can start the presentation. Yeah, got it. Thanks.
Yes, sir. You are the host now.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. So let me start with a brief introduction about myself. I am Hymakar Valluri. I am born in Hyderabad and currently working in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Education qualification wise, I am a chartered accountant. I am working in Landmark Group, which is largest retailer in the Middle East and also in India, which owns brands like Lifestyle, Max, Home Center. And let me start with my photographic journey. So I started my journey by reading, traveling, observing. Initially, in initial dates, used my point to shoot cameras and clicked some images. Then I got introduced to something called India Nature Watch, which was the only forum where the wildlife photography was. The photographers used to get together and share their experiences, images. And in the Facebook, there's a group called Indian Birds, which was very active in those days. They're discussing about species, behaviors, habitats, and the experiences of the photographers. So after going through these stories, people presented in these forums about poaching, habitat loss, other interventions, through various forms, I was intrigued about learning more about the species, how this is getting affected. And so from there, I started studying a bit about migrant birds segment around Bangalore because I used to live in Bangalore in those days. So was always amused about how these birds used to travel every year to the same place, like this pelicans coming to Rangantittu or kestrels coming to places like Hesarghatta or Maidanhalli, or these harriers coming back to same place. Every winter they are there, summer they are gone. So, and I used to go and look at the patterns and see that, okay, how these birds used to come weekend over weekend. I used to go and see a year over year and used to observe how the population over a period of time came down. And it was we can discuss about conservation aspects quite a lot, but I'll stick to photography for now because this is a discussion about my photography experiences. To give an example, there are particular birds called rosy starlings. So in Bangalore, in the center of the city, where I used to live close to Richmond Road, from the balcony, I used to watch thousands of rosy starlings coming to the trees in winters in and around my place. Over a period of time, within 3 years period, I stopped seeing rosy starlings at all in the center of the Bangalore city. So that's how the whole patterns got affected because of climate change and various industrialization, water bodies drying up, lakes drying up, and all the construction, real estate coming on the work, wherever the water was available. And Bangalore is called city of lakes, and barely any lakes are there right now. So post which I started getting into cameras, buying basic cameras, and then going around and making images. Like I think I'm sure everyone on this forum has seen movie Sholay. Sholay was shot in a small village called Ramnagara near Bangalore. And this Ramnagara is not only famous for Sholay movie, but also if you remember the scenes where Gabbar's shots were filmed, those mountains are, those hills, those rocky places are home for endangered vultures. And there used to be a lot of vultures. Now barely we can find 10 to 15 vultures there. That is a story of from there I started going around all the places in and around Karnataka, like places like Tattekadu in Kerala and Tal Chapar in Rajasthan, and started clicking various species in Kabini, Bandipur, Tadoba. Then in 2013, the major expedition happened. That is one of the great three things which have happened. I clicked a long-tailed duck image in Pangong Lake in Leh, near Leh. Probably only 2 or 3 people have clicked a long-tailed duck in India. It's a vagrant. It can be seen only in those mountains once in a while, very rarity. And after that, taking inspiration from there, then I planned to see snow leopard. And before I explored that, barely few people clicked a snow leopard in live, like even Steve Winter, if I remember right, the image which he won for Snow Leopard Wildlife Photographer of the Year award also was through trap camera. So then we said, okay, we'll go and explore. A lot of people discouraged, backed out, and only two or three friends said, okay, other 2-3 crazy friends of mine joined the group, and we explored. After 10 days of ordeal in December with -20, -25 degrees temperature, we tracked for 10 days. Finally, on the 10th day, we saw snow leopard from 1 kilometer distance. Of course, today you go to Spiti, you will get to see snow leopard whenever you go there. But 10 years back, that was not the story. In 2014, I migrated to Saudi Arabia for my job opportunity in Landmark. And from 2015 onwards, I started traveling overseas. The first trip was to go and see gorillas in Rwanda, mountain gorillas. From there, I did on Svalbard, went to Arctic, closer, almost few hundred kilometers away from North Pole. We saw polar bears, Arctic wildlife. I will show the images in a few minutes. Then a lot of travels around Kenya, Tanzania, and in 2017, one of my successful once in a lifetime kind of trip is shooting hummingbirds in Ecuador, and also endemic bear called spectacled bear. And in the same year, I wanted to shoot bald eagles and orcas. So I went to US, clicked the bald eagles and orcas. So post in 2018, then went to Russia to click bears and whales. So in 2019, I started diving. I wanted to explore underwater world. Got my advanced certification, but after that, in 2020 COVID, and I did a couple of diving trips, and that's it. And finally, after 7 years of wait, in 2021, I saw Black Panther. After almost making 10 to 15 attempts, trips to Kabini, finally I saw the Black Panther in 2021. And last week I've been to Tadoba, and once in a lifetime kind of sighting, we saw wild dogs chasing leopard in Tadoba, and
wildlife photographer was going to visual.
Leopard on top of the tree, and finally we have clicked the images of leopard climbing down a huge tree in Tadoba. It's a rarity. Seeing leopards in Tadoba is like once in, it's like, it's not, it doesn't happen very often. That too, half an hour, 45-minute sightings is like, it's kind of very rare. So now I will, without losing much time, I will quickly jump into the images and other experiences and how the journey has happened. If you have any questions or anything, just put that in chat box. I will be very happy to answer any questions as we go along. So basically, what was the purpose? So most of the photographers start with different purposes, and everyone has different approach for wildlife photography. My journey started with the book called Indian Birds, Indian Birds of Indian Subcontinent. So I started saying that, okay, I need to record as many species I can from this book. I never cared about the quality of images. I just wanted to record, saying that, okay, I've seen this bird, I've seen this species, I've seen the behavior. So I started recording. So from there it started. Then it graduated to making very clear, sharp images, then to creative images. That's how the whole journey happened.
The last?
So people ask me about social media. How
Guys, can you mute? I think it's Rahul Arya. Can you please mute?
Sorry.
So people ask me, a lot of photographers ask me what is the importance of social media, and people shoot to get a lot of instant gratification on social media, and is it kind of a rat race? Yeah, it depends on the perspective of individual, but social media, as far as I'm concerned, it's a very, very important and significant tool, because it is a great platform to share knowledge and exchange information, get insights about various things, learn about technical aspects of photography, learn about what conservation efforts are going on, what all the things people are observing, what are the new species people are discovering, and first time moving into different countries or habitats. So how the habitat shift is happening, like how the stories of how polar bears have traveled for 400 kilometers and appeared in a different country. They move from country to country. Tigers moving from, say, Bandhavgarh down up to Nagpur or further down. So these kind of information is you get to know from social media, because national media doesn't cover this information so much, because national media, how many people will be interested in knowing what's happening in a wildlife world or a conservation world, or what's happening to a habitat, what's happening between human animal conflict. These things are like 7th page, 8th page news in a small box. So people who are interested to know what's going on in this world, social media is a great place to know. But if people are using social media for instant gratification and getting for likes and all those things, it's not a sustainable thing. It's like a race. So how do you approach, what is my way of approaching wildlife photography trips or travels, or what do I do? First, I plan. To give an example, I am thinking of 3 options, 3 different locations to do, whether to go to Borneo and look for snub-nosed monkeys or orangutans, or study them for a couple of days and click some images in coming couple of months, or go to Indonesia, West Papua and Raja Ampat and these kind of places and look for birds of paradise, or go to northern Serengeti and see the migration, or there is one more plan of going to Brazil and diving with the green anacondas and go to Brazilian Amazon. So these are the things which I'm planning. So to start with, I pick my subject, and I keep following the photographers who are frequently visiting these places. So I keep making notes on that. Understand the habitat and terrain, how, whether there's a lot of hiking involved, whether you need to take boats and go. Like if you go to see orangutan, you have to hire a boat and go in a boat. In West Papua, you have to go, if you go to Indonesia, you have to go from city to see few species, to fly to different places. So all birds of paradise are not seen in one place. So you'll have to go around. So going and diving with anacondas, you'll have to do the various other logistics arrangement, visa, traveling there, getting to the right person, who is the expert diver there, who can navigate us through this, like what will be the, whether these are all freshwater, the freshwater diving will be different from saltwater diving. So all this kind of information and resources over a period of time, I'll keep capturing at least 1 year ahead of time. I keep capturing this information. And I keep connecting with the photographers who have been there, or the tour operators who have been working there, or conservationists or research people who have been doing research on this in these areas. I keep talking to them, getting their insights and their guidance on how to go about it. Okay, some places like
Hymakar है, वो wildlife photographer है, वो कुछ कर रहा था तो उसका group में आया है.
Yeah, Karan, we can hear you very well. Thank you.
Study the patterns. And in social media, when I pick the subject, social media, as I mentioned, it's a great place. I go search for that particular species or particular location, keep browsing through for days together to gather that information. Then gear. The next important thing, once you know what to click and where to click, then how to click. So most importantly, understanding light conditions there, and how close you are subject to the subject, whether you need to use a super tele or a zoom or a wide angle, or what kind of images you need to use. Or if you're going to a safari kind of thing, then you need to use a bean bag. If you're going for places where there are dark locations where the species can adjust to a flash kind of using flash, then you take flashes. And whether you need to use a light tripod, heavy tripod, what kind of gear. The gear is the most important thing for photographic perspective. And also what kind of cameras you carry. Sometimes full frames, close shots is perfectly fine. Sometimes you need to take crop bodies. Sometimes you need to use the full frame bodies and use the crop mode. So depending on the distance from the species, like if you are seeing some birds which are like 300, 200 meters away, even in super tele, they'll be like a speck. Then you will have to do those kind of cropping and all. And always before shooting, taking the trial shots and keeping the adjustment. Before the species subject appears in the frame, all the trials should be finished. And also the gear, what you need to wear and go to these places. Like you cannot go to some places wearing very colorful stuff. Some places you need to go in camouflage gear. Sometimes you sit in heights inside. When you sit in heights and shoot, you need to blend into the environment. So you need to have that kind of gear. Particularly when you're going to places where there's a lot of amphibians and reptiles, you need to have a proper shoes and gear to go there, and protective equipment. Like when you go to places like Kamchatka, where you want to shoot bears, you need to have gunmen around you, because bears, you get into close proximity with bears can charge you. So you need to have those kind of protection. So from execution perspective, from photography, the soft light, golden light is the best time to shoot. And harsh light always gives you a lot of highlights in the images and spoils the images. But unfortunately in India, if you want to click tigers, you have to go in summer. In summers, you will have to shoot during the day. You will not get, if you're lucky, you will get it usually in the golden light. Once you miss the golden light, it's all harsh light shots. So be at the site early, check your position, ensure that you're on the right side of the light, and navigate, pick your spots ahead of time. So when you shoot, when I shoot, I usually try to do three things. If particularly mammals, when I am shooting any species, first I take the portrait shots. I straight away take the record shots. because that opportunity should not be missed if the person is looking for doing creative shots. So first take the portrait shot, take the record shot. Sometimes it's a basic record shot. So you take the, excuse me, could you please mute? Yeah. Then go into looking at various creative shots. Okay, you get a panning shot, or you get some kind of long exposure perspectives, or you take a wide angle shot, get closer to the species and wide angle shot. You will see in my images when we go. So basically, a good wildlife photograph consists of three elements. One is the natural history value, one is the aesthetic and creative value, and third is the technical value. So natural history value, every image you click should have a natural history value. It has to communicate a story about what you're clicking, what is the subject, what is the objective, whether you want to tell people about this particular species and what you want to tell about this species. Second is with respect to creative and aesthetic value, saying that, okay, there is some amount of creativity, there is a beauty element in that subject. The third is the technical value, because the technical aspect of the photography, the rule of thirds and right exposure and all are those box are ticked off. It's like my laptop froze. Yeah. Okay. So now we'll just go through the images which I have clicked. Some have been a bit popular and some are the regular images. The first one is a peafold dancing to attract attention of the peahen, and this image was used in various resorts and all those to showcase the Kabini habitat and the story what happens in Kabini. This is the usual scene you get to see in monsoons in most of the country. Next are the other bird which I'll bring your attention to is the red-headed vulture. It's a very rarity to see in Kabini. It's like maybe around hardly 10-50. We happen to see them by chance, and now they are critically endangered species. And over a period of time, their count is declining significantly. The next one is the great hornbill crossing Kali River in Dandeli Anshi forest. So great Indian hornbill is one of the species which is also a critically endangered species. You can see them in West Bengal, you can see them in Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, and few parts of that Western Ghat belt, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka and Kerala. So their numbers are also receding big time. Now there's a lot of study going on reviving their numbers. So these are huge hornbills. These are one of the largest birds, you can say, in India. These are the mammals which I clicked in initial days in Karnataka. One is the latest one. It's not the initial days. That's the black panther one you see on the first image. The next one, is the male tiger, which just emerged out of the bush after making us wait for 1.5 hours. So now I will get your attention to 2-3 things in these images. One, you see the spotted deer on the second row, right side corner. It has got something on its head. It looks like King Julian from Madagascar. Okay. This is nothing but a fishing net. And I get your attention to the crocodile as well, the crocodile below. So what happens is, because of the lot of fishing happening in the river there, and the fishermen carelessly leave their fishing nets. These fishing nets keep floating and coming down into the lakes and also the backwaters of the river, where these deers go and graze. And they have this net stuck to their antlers. For deer, it is not a problem. It every year sheds its antlers, so it will eventually lose it, but it has to carry that weight all the time on its head, causing huge stress. And with respect to crocodile, it's like it's a big challenge for the crocodile to get rid of this net. It's not that easy as to, because There is no other way. It keeps brushing against the rock to get rid of the net. So I'm sure you the other I try to cover as many species as I can. So the other ones on the left side, the small rats kind of thing, those are the rivers, the smooth-coated otters, which you can find in some parts of India. These are found in the rivers. They feed on fish. And the one next to that is the huge Indian gaur. It's not bison. People call it bison. It's not bison. It's an Indian gaur. It's almost 1 ton in weight, 1 ton plus. Imagine it charges back at any jeep. It can topple any kind of vehicle on the road. And tigers try to feast on them, the younger ones. And when they see this heavy gaurs, they usually don't go after them. The other species on the top, which I want to cover, is the third one next to the tiger, which is wild dogs, which are also called dholes. These are also endangered species, which you can find in central and western India. So I'll come to the birds which I clicked in the rest of India. Only few I picked, special images from my perspective. I would like to get attention on to the fourth image on the first row. That is a special image. This image is of a white-tailed eagle. A white-tailed eagle, which usually migrates from Finland to Russia in the winters, has strayed its path, regular path, and this is a subadult which flew into a place called Tal Chapar in Rajasthan. So somehow I saw somebody posting this image. Next day I took a train, went to Tal Chapar, sat there for 3 days, found this subadult. The great part about this is that when the subadult was sitting on the ground, it was sitting next to black bucks. The head of the black bucks and head of this white-tailed eagle were at same height. You can imagine the size of this eagle when it's fully grown. You would have seen some videos some point in time where the eagles in Finland and all just pick up the deers or the fawns with their claws and fly away, talons and fly away. So this is one of those species. And the next species I would like you to look at is the second species on the second row, which is called bearded vulture or Lamargier vulture. This is also found in Himalayas. This was clicked during my snow leopard trip. In this slide, I want to touch upon the third image from the at the bottom row, which are blackneck cranes, which are also endangered species, which are found in a place called Chokar Lake in Himalayas, in Ladakh region. So these are some mammals which I clicked in India, in the rest of India. So the tigers and all I will not touch upon, because you all would have read a lot about tigers. So first one is the lion-tailed macaques. Lion-tailed macaques are the species which you find in a place called Valpara in Tamil Nadu. These are endangered species. Their habitat has been killed because of tea estates and all kind of infrastructure put around those places, and they live along with humans in their habitats. Now you go there into Valpara, you will find them everywhere, but their population is receding big time. The next is the blue sheep, which is the favorite food of our one of the meals which is readily available for snow leopard in Himalayas. The last image, the monkey which you are seeing on the right, that's a western bullock gibbon. These are also critically endangered species, and as per the statistics, there used to be close to 100,000 species in 1970s. Today's date, the numbers have dropped to all put together 5,000. And the next species which you see in the second row in the third is called cap langur. These also reside at the same place where along with the gibbons. You see it is sitting on the railway track. These railway tracks exactly go through that habitat where these two species live and thrive. So they keep crossing this and trains keep coming and going. I will move quickly. Ishani, I think there is some 7 minutes time. There is some, how do we go about that?
Hello, Hymakar. Please continue. I think Ishani will. We can continue. We can use the same link to again come up for the second slot.
Okay. So these are some major some accomplishments for the images clicked in India. The first one is the left side is the Western Hemlock Gibbon, which is a female, which won Sanctuary Asia entry kind of award. The second one is the wild asses from Kutch. These you can find in Little Run of Kutch, and these are also critically endangered. These are also endangered species, and their population is also residing over declining over a period of time. This is also one the entry for Sanctuary Asia. The Cap Langur has won a lot of awards. This image is very famous. It's been on various exhibitions and all. The only I was talking about a particular bird which only few photographers have clicked, handful maybe 2 or 3. That is the long-tailed duck in the bottom, which I saw in Pangong Lake, which I mentioned earlier. And the next image is of snow leopard, which we saw in 2013. And last one is the one-horned rhino, which you can find in Kaziranga and parts of West Bengal and Assam. And this is also image used in various forums and won few awards. So with this, I complete the journey within India. Then now we'll be going into the images which I clicked overseas in various other countries. So when they swim upstream, these bears stand there and they catch these salmons, and they feed on the salmons to add fat into their body so they can sustain the heavy winters. These are other wildlife we found in Kamchatka. The first one is the sea lions, stellar sea lions. And the third one is the sea otters, which are also endangered species. And the bottom one is a stellar sea eagle. I wanted to click this image, wanted to go to Japan and click this image, but this has been ticked off in Kamchatka itself, fortunately. There are birds in Australia, which is around New South Wales area, but there is amazing birding which happens in Queensland, and which is also closer to the side of PNG, Papua New Guinea. So there's amazing birding in Australia. These are some award-winning images of from the rest of the world. Which are few of hummingbirds. Some images you know you are familiar with, some of you. The second image from the top, which won the National Geographic Travel Photographer of the Year, People's Choice, and also better for title winner of the Better Photography. And rest of all the images which are published in various in Nat Geo and various other places. These are the other award-winning images of bears. The second image is also again 2018, I think 2017 or 2018 Nat Geo finalist. And the third image won a lot of the other awards and all that. I will show the citations in the next slide. Now, you guys will have seen there used to be a big five. Big five was referred mostly to Africa in earlier times, which was leopard, lion, buffalo, elephant. Now that big five has been changed, the definition. Now the big five is mountain gorilla, polar bear, tiger, African lion, and elephant. So there are a handful of photographers who have this combo. So now this is the end of all the. Hope I did not bore you guys a lot. I try to rush through so that it doesn't get too dragging. Now, I want to talk about something with respect to photographers' responsibilities. Now, it's the photographers usually like to click the images and share and study and all that stuff. But there are a few things which we need to keep in mind when we go into the field and click images. First of all, images should help in some one way or other, either to build awareness, inspiring creativity, and conservation. These three things should be the backbone of the wildlife photography. If any image is not addressing any of the three aspects of these three aspects, I don't think it's a wildlife photography. It's just a photography. And always important to ensure safety and comfort of the subject. If the subject is not comfortable, then subject can harm you, or the photographer can harm the subject. So it's always to ensure that the subject is extremely comfortable before they are shot, particularly when they are in wide open, particularly when you're shooting bears in open places, or shooting like when gorillas. So where you're in close proximity to this wildlife, and particularly birds, you have to give time to the birds to come and settle on a perch. The more you do the disturbance, the bird will feel very uncomfortable, insecure, and fly away. So a lot of patience is required to ensure that the subject is comfortable. And always ensure that habitat is preserved for future. Whenever we go, sometimes knowingly or unknowingly, we walk in places which we should not be walking, getting into off-roading and doing a lot of stuff which we are not supposed to do, which can harm. Sometimes there are some certain birds which lay eggs on the ground. If without realizing we walk, we can break the eggs. If we go off-road and walk in the paths which are not meant to be walked upon. And also what happened, this is a common problem, it's a greater problem which a photographer cannot address, but the migration corridors, regular paths of animals are all are being cut off, but at a large scale. But also from photographers' perspective, there are certain paths where usually, but when you go to forest looking for tigers have a pattern. They particularly, after drinking water in the evening, they take a particular path and go into their bush or where they take rest. When they're walking back, a lot of jeeps get together and they cut their path. They get disturbed. Then they'll, from that day, they start looking for a different location, different path, different zone. And then their pattern completely get disturbed. And those things have to be taken care of. Sometimes in anxiety to click images of cubs, usually people take vehicles between mother and cubs. That's the most dangerous thing to do. Sometimes what happens if mother has a couple of cubs, and in order to protect the rest of the cubs, she may abandon one cub, and that cub will eventually die. And there are a lot of things, these things have happened, and people have recorded these things. So these need to be taken care of. Nesting eggs and chicks and babies. Never get closer to this nesting, because if you get closer to nesting, the bird will feel very uncomfortable and she will abandon the nest, and the eggs will never hatch, or if they have a small babies, they will die. And this has happened. And photographers go to large extents. I have seen photographers going and putting cotton and all the kind of stuff in the nests of bee eaters and all to get flight images and all that. That is nonsense. These blue-eared bee eaters fly all the way thousands of kilometers and come here and to nest, and people go and stuff cotton and all that to get pictures. That is complete stupidity. So those kind of things should be completely discouraged. And if somebody finds, they should record this. And never get that we already discussed. Overcrowding at a particular location. That is also been a challenge in safaris. Now, a lot of places, a lot of forests have realized that, and even recently in Tadapa, I have seen they have restricted the number of vehicles and all that. That's a good news. And social media race. This is one of the biggest problems. People want to get a lot of attention. Social media likes and comments and shares doesn't make one a great photographer. That's a misconception. Okay, so don't even get into that. You're clicking for yourself. Be happy with what you're clicking, and get inspired and inspire people around you. That itself is an award. These are some citations from various forums, from National Geographic or various other awards, and comments which editors have written and all that kind of stuff. These are some awards and kind of what I have won over years. These are the details. If you would like to follow or share or communicate with me, these are the details. And thank you. Thanks a lot. And this brings me to the end of the session. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to take.
Hymakar, this was absolutely amazing
Thank you
session.
so much, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it
Yes,
was
so
absolutely
Hymakar,
an
a quick
amazing
question.
session, and you have completed everything from the point of like preparation and all aspects of wildlife photography. Yeah, can we have the questions? And Ishani, if you want to close it, you can please go ahead.
Yeah, there's somebody who was asking a question. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, so Hymakar, I have a question for you. How was it the transition from a corporate life to a wildlife photographer?
See, it's only one, it is with respect to what you're interested in, and how you can plan and devote the time for that. There's no transition. I am actually running parallel lives. So I'm still a corporate professional. I'm still a wildlife photographer, both going tandem. They have their own respective worlds. So only in these kind of occasions they interfere, or else they don't interfere much with each other.
Good to know. But how you are coping it up, because it's a tough challenge between corporate and the kind of patience and devotion which is required for a wildlife photographer.
This is, I plan, as I mentioned, I plan 1 or 2 years in advance where I want to go. We get 30 days leave, and we get the breaks like this Eid break to right now we are having. So I plan and arrange for those trips much in advance so that I can use that time to the extent possible. I am very fortunate that my whole family is into wildlife photography. So my wife likes to travel. My kids, both the kids are wildlife photographers. My elder son has won the wildlife photographer of the year in 2018. So fortunately, the whole thing works out that way.
In fact, I would like to add few things here. I started wildlife photography seeing his photographs way back in 2014. And his photographs has been encouraging me at every respect, basically. So that is why I thought of inviting him for this wonderful session. And I'm really thankful to Hymakar, and I'm also thankful to all the participants who has joined us today. And and even I will greatly appreciate everyone if you can also prepare your talks, and we will be happy to board you here in future. Thank you. Anyone else would like to ask anything to Hymakar?
Anyway,
So one last question, Hymakar, from my side again. Will you be interested to take another session on this, maybe for a college?
Yeah, that's not a problem. I can do the session for any college.
So I will connect with you on that. Thank you.
My pleasure. I think I missed recording some part of it, Ishani. So hopefully something get captured. Otherwise, most of it got captured. So thanks a lot for joining. And you see, from it's only inspiring each other for doing a better photography. I have learned from a lot of great photographers, inspired by their work. People like Jain Sharma, Drijman Mukherjee, and